Hello everyone, happy Cinco de Mayo! Welcome to Bachelors of Kingsgrave's discussion on the new Avenger movie, Age of Ultron, directed by Josh Whedon. I'm Vikram, I go by as 42 on the forums, and joining me on this podcast is Beric.
Hi, my name is Mathieu. Beric175 on the forums.
And so, since it's Cinco de Mayo, which is a celebration for Mexican army's victory over the French army, we decided to split this podcast up into two crews, and we're gonna have a Mexican crew, which is us, and then we'll have the French crew, which is gonna be White Raven, EastTexasDirewold, Amin, and Amberrocks. So this session, the Mexican session, is just gonna be me and Beric, and we're gonna keep the discussion spoiler free. So if you haven't seen the movie, please enjoy the discussion. We'll try not to reveal anything specific at all. And later on, immediately following this session will be the spoiler-filled discussion. So stay on for that if you don't mind the spoilers. So Beric, how would you rate the movie? How many Infinity Stones would you give this movie?
Yeah. I've been kind of mixed on the film, so I think it might be between 2.5, 2.75 out of 5.
Oh wow, really?
Because yeah, it was because I generally am not part of the hype train for the Marvel movies, because I think, like, in terms of superhero films, we have had more complex and more and films with more character depth, essentially, than the Marvel films. So I'm not wowed by them generally. I liked most of them just fine. Like I enjoyed Iron Man, the first Iron Man, very much, and the Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy. The other ones I'm sort of more they exist sort of way. To me it's just like I wish they had more sort of focus on character development and less on the pyrotechnics. So yeah, I generally I felt the film, it did what it wanted to do, which was to basically cap off the second phase and set up the third phase. Although that in itself is a problem for me in this film, and largely it's also because I feel like the film lacks a lot of tension. But we will get to that when we discuss it more in detail, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, overall, I give it between 2.5, 2.75 out of 5, I think.
Okay. I wouldn't say this is going to be the best movie I saw this year, probably. So I would give it like 4.5-ish. And compared to the other movies of the Marvel pack, Guardians of Galaxies, Iron Man 3s and stuff like that. Yeah, this movie doesn't really stand out for me, even though this is like the biggest movie. I think would you agree that this was the biggest movie that Marvel has ever made? I mean, in terms of cast and the production, it really feels like a big movie, right?
Oh, actually, I found the opposite was, to me. It felt a bit, because to me the tension wasn't there. So then I felt like, yeah, this sort of feels a bit slight. Like this doesn't feel like, because if you don't fear for, if you don't think that there are any real consequences, then the conflict sort of automatically becomes a bit smaller than it actually is supposed to be. And yeah, I feel like, in terms of scope, maybe the first Avengers was still, I mean, because you were so invested and you basically, I mean, they had never done this kind of thing before, where they get all the characters together in one film and that sort of thing. So that in itself gave the film more of an edge, I think. The novelty sort of here is a bit gone, because we've seen it like in 2012 already. So it's the fact that I was aware of the marketing for the other films that would come later sort of took away a bit of tension, because when you know that there is a Captain America 3 or there is a Thor 3, you're not really scared for any of the characters that are here in this film, right? Feels like a very expensive film. They have all the special effects, and it seems like they have they shot on location, I think, as well, didn't they? They in different countries.
Oh yeah,
South Africa.
Exactly. I kind of felt that this movie was shot. I think they expanded the world a bit more. the first scene of the movie starts off with a battle with Hydra base that's in Eastern Europe, and through the movie they take us to someplace in Africa, South Africa, I don't know.
I think
It's
South Africa. Mhm.
yeah, I don't want to say exactly what the fictional African location is, but I am sure if you're a comic book reader, you can guess what the fictional African place is. And then Korea for some reason. But so it felt nice that they're not,
Oh yeah.
watching Godzilla or watching Superman. It's always New York, San Francisco, and things like that. So it was nice that they went off to these different places. But in terms of, in terms that you said that this movie did not have that much stake in it. I mean, you did not, because they never felt in danger. I kind of felt the opposite, that there's like a big action sequence in the middle of the movie where the crew faces Ultron, and the crew doesn't come out, kind of comes out, kind of slightly beaten or something. I don't want to talk about exactly what happens and what exactly happened,
Yeah.
but we kind of, yeah, all the characters were kind of beaten a bit, and so that kind of was the low point, and they had to
Okay.
regroup. Ultron was created by Iron Man in this version of the movie,
Yeah. Usually it would have been like in the comics. I think it's Hank Pym or the Ant-Man character
Ant-Man.
who creates Ultron. Yeah, I think this is a change that was necessary because they hadn't introduced Ant-Man yet, which we're gonna see anyway.
Right, next movie is Civil
Yeah.
Wars, I think, is when Ant-Man's going to be there. And Ant-Man's going to get his own movie later this year. So when that happened, and Ultron obviously goes rogue, right? So that creates a fracture in the thing. So this is no longer the jolly good team of Avengers we saw from first movie. There's like slight disagreements and between each other.
But I think there's also a problem with that to me, is that Ultron gets created and it sort of turns into an evil. It sort of turns on them like right away. There is no real transition.
Yeah.
It's like really quick, and to me it felt a bit too quick. Like it wasn't like this does not feel like a being that gradually experiences like humanity and decides that they have to go. It feels like oh yeah, I've been born. Let's smash everything, and that's not. I mean, it felt too quick to me. I think there's a lot of moments in the film where I felt that the pacing was a bit too. It felt a bit rushed in places because.
Pacing, yeah, I agree with you about the pacing. It just felt kind of rushed, and I think he was trying to pack a lot of storyline into this one movie. I mean, this movie was kind of felt like it was not only just telling its own story with the Ultron and the thing with the Maximoff twins, but then they also tried the sequel baiting with the infamous MacGuffin of the Marvel movies. We can't really say what this MacGuffin is, but I'm sure you guys can guess what it is. But it was trying to do a bunch of things.
Yeah, it's inconsistent. The pacing feels like off because then some places you have moments where there are long stretches of characters spending time in a farmhouse or something, right? With Hawkeye, and that's a bit slower, and then it goes back to big action scenes, and that sort of doesn't really gel very well. I mean, it's a bit too big of a contrast, I think.
Who did you feel like wasn't necessary in this movie, or having them not in the movie would have like given more focus to other characters?
Yeah, I think, for example, War Machine, like, was he really that necessary in the film? Or I don't know if we can talk about this when Nick Fury comes back and that sort of thing. Is it like, do we even need Shield in the film when we have sort of decided in The Winter Soldier that Shield is to be disbanded? And so now why, yeah, I mean, in a sense that sort of takes away what was done in the previous films sometimes as well, right? It's some kind of big decisions that were made in the individual films seem to be reversed by the end of this film, and that's a bit of a shame, because then you feel like, yeah, what was the point before? And I don't, because I think they want to tie it in with the TV shows that they have as well. Agent Carter and Agents of Shield and that sort of thing. But I shouldn't be required to watch those in order to enjoy the films. And if the decisions in the plot of the films feel like they are a bit too, let's say, a bit too convenient sometimes, that to me is a bit of a problem. And I just think they could have cut out a lot of characters that, a lot of side characters that take up space and didn't need to be there.
I agree with you that the Marvel movies sometimes have this inconsistency, because I think at the end of Iron Man 3, it kind of felt like he was going to retire or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So we're now joined by Teddard from the forums.
Hello, I'm Eddie, Teddard from the forums.
So, Teddard, could you give us your quick Infinity Stone rating for the movie?
I'll give it 4 Infinity Stones out of 5. Don't know where the 6th one went. Good film. I enjoyed it. There were a few bits where I think, oh, they really didn't need to put that in because it's setting up another movie, and it's like, and some good character moments. And good fighting stuff.
How does it stand out from the original? Do you think it's repetitive, or this movie is doing something different from the rest of the Marvel movie pack?
It's not really doing anything different. No.
That's maybe a problem, right? At least to me, that seems like a problem, because you might expect that they might grow up a bit, because the trailers certainly sell the film as something a bit more serious in the beginning. And it doesn't really feel like something that has a lot of consequences for future developments, because everything gets wrapped up by the end. We can at least say that much.
Yeah, I think they want to make these movies as appealing to the mass audience as possible. So they have to make it so that if you're coming fresh to this movie, if this is like the first Avengers movie you've seen, they want you to not be like, who's this again? Who's that again? What happened here? So, but to their credit, I think they use Scarlet Witch kind of interestingly. It's kind of like a plot device. They kind of have her do like a lot of things, and sometimes it's just not, it's not believable all the time. But one of the things she does is she can induce visions, and she induces these nightmare / visions to all our superheroes here, and so it kind of changes the tone of the movie slightly a bit, but not too much though.
Yeah, that was a character that I liked, and I didn't really connect to Quicksilver that much, and Ultron, to me, at some point felt a bit too jokey. He has a bit too much of I guess that's maybe the point, that he has a lot of Stark's personality and stuff.
He's definitely not your typical robot villain, right? It's very different.
No, but then at the same time, Ultron is a genocidal robot, and by the end of the film, like, it doesn't feel like anyone died or anything. It's like, when you have potential genocide looming on the horizon, then there should be something that that follows that up, because otherwise it feels like it's like a Saturday morning cartoon where there is no consequences to any of this. But he definitely at some point felt like a bit too. There's a moment at the end, sort of like, where I think he says, "Oh, come on," and that sort of thing, and then I went, "Oh, come on, what?" Because it's like, I can't, I once the villain gets too jokey, I can't take him seriously.
Well, I guess that's a preference in tone, I guess, because I don't prefer the Christian Nolan movies that much, the Batman movies that much. I prefer the Marvel side of things. So, but I guess it's just a preference, and we should be glad that we got both styles of movies, that all the superhero movies are not alike. We got the DC camp doing their own thing, and we got the Marvel camp doing their own thing. So
but I don't like the direction of where DC is going either at the moment. It's like a bit, they take themselves too seriously.
Yeah, there's a danger of that. You could get really comic. maybe you have a point here. Maybe they should use the Guardians of Galaxy, do that, make that silly, make that goofy, and keep the
Yeah.
maybe keep the Avengers maybe in the middle. Maybe that might be a good compromise.
Yeah, because otherwise it feels like they don't really grow up, and that's at some point you feel like, okay, we had the first phase that was a bit introduction, that was and then you have the phase 2 where it gets a bit more serious with Winter Soldier and Thor 2 and Iron Man 3 and that sort of thing, and yeah, so you expect a bit more. Yeah, maybe a bit more gravitas. I think,
maybe
and
it's
sadly, to me, it doesn't really deliver on that.
maybe it's more to do with who was the showrunner, right, or the movie's main creator, Josh Whedon. I mean, his work from Buffy the Vampire Slayers to Fireflies to do that. He kind of he doesn't do the totally serious thing. There's a lot of humor in it. I mean, he doesn't outright do comedies, but there's a lot of humor in his writing. So maybe it's that. Maybe now that Josh Whedon's kind of done with this Marvel universe, movies will kind of become more like Captain America: Winter Soldier, because the Russo brothers are going to make a ton of movies, right?
Because I heard that he was, at least in recent interviews, he has been very openly critical of the current approach that Marvel is taking, because he feels like serialized narratives are made for TV, and movies are just too expensive to keep that going. And so he feels like, a movie should stand on its own, which is ironic given that this film sort of depends on you knowing these characters from other films, and also sets up later installments at the same time. So it's not like you can. I'm not sure if you went in cold without having seen any of the other ones. I'm not sure you would understand what was going on. Go ahead.
You probably guess that the Avengers are their heroes, which is, you're supposed to follow them. But yeah, the interactions and who's who and what they've done before, that's very hard to.
Yeah. I don't expect anyone to. So I don't expect anyone to understand everything in a second installment. A sequel essentially to the first Avengers. So it's like, at least you might be tempted to watch the first one before you watch this one. But still, to me, the fact is that most of the films that Marvel is making at the moment seem to be, they don't seem to be really standing very well on their own as films, because they all are connected to other installments, and as a movie they don't really hold up that well to me sometimes. There are exceptions, like Guardians of the Galaxy and Winter Soldier are some exceptions, but
slightly worried about Civil War, because I saw an interview with Chris Evans and he said, oh, it's a jumping off point from to Infinity War. It's like, okay, so the whole thing's going to be set up for Infinity War. And if you've seen the cast list, they've pretty much got every single Marvel character in that movie.
Yeah, it's like the next Avenger movie, which is not an Avenger movie.
Yeah, it's like Avengers 2.5. Which, fair, Winter Soldier was Avengers 1.5, pretty much.
So Teddard, some of the new characters introduced in this movie, Ultron, the Maximoff Trends, and then the new superhero whose identity we don't want to reveal to us, spoiler-free listeners. Who did you like the most, or how did they do, you think?
Well, that's going to be a hard question, because Ultron's like the standout villain, but I really liked the guy we can't mention as well. And I liked their conversation when they had some conversations.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard somebody talk about this too. This was other reviewers talking about this movie. They said the conversations between the secret superhero we don't want to reveal and Ultron was pretty interesting. This is going to be Josh Whedon's last movie with the Marvelverse. So what do you guys in general feel about it? Are you going to miss him, or are you think good riddance? Or
always liked his work, and he seems like a guy thinks a lot about things. If you heard his commentaries about things, he's very informed, that sort of. So he's perfectly aware. He's kind of perfectly aware of what he's doing. So, but I'd like to see more stuff from him, whether it be Star Wars or DC or whatever he wants to do. Well, there is an opening.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
For the Star Wars movie.
I kind of read, reading some of, reading what exactly happened, and this is all speculation, I guess, but it kind of sounds like Josh Whedon just got fatigued. I think he's put in a lot to make these two movies, and not just these two movies. I heard that he had like a lot of
Oh yeah,
influence
he
on the
does. He
others.
did. Yeah, he did script work on the other films as well.
Yeah, he did the script work on Guardians of Galaxy, specifically the dialogue. So if you found the dialogues of Guardians of Galaxy funny, Josh Whedon had a big role to play, and then he kind of advised the Russo brothers during Winter Soldier. So had a lot of influence on the Marvel universe. So the movies are going to be different without him. So I hope they don't
it's
change
something-
too much, at least.
The fact that Joss Whedon is gonna leave doesn't really have that much of an impact because to me, like stylistically, the films don't look that different from each other. I feel like they look very similar because it's meant to be like one big universe. So like if Joss Whedon leaves, like I won't be noticing it visually. I might be noticing it on a script level. But then again, that's also like I mean, he helped out on a lot of scripts, but he didn't actually write all of the scripts.
No, he consulted.
He was touching up. Thor: The Dark World. They brought him in because they wanted the movie to be a bit funnier. And that's the only one that I know of where he was basically involved. I mean, you also say Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy, so. Yeah, maybe that will mean a shift somewhere, but I just think like visually, I don't think there will be a big difference in the future.
Okay, guys, so that's it for the spoiler-free section. After the break, we'll come back with Amber, Brett, White Raven, East Texas Direwolf, and Amin to carry out the spoiler-filled discussion of the podcast. So, thank you for joining us for this. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye bye.
Hello everyone, welcome back to round 2 or the French round of this VOK's Age of Ultron discussion. This is going to be the spoiler-filled version of the podcast, and so if you haven't seen the movie, be warned, or if you don't mind the spoilers, stick around. Joining us for this podcast are Amber.
We have Amberrocks over here.
Oh wow, that was pretty good.
We're the Mexicans, Amber. What are you doing?
No, you guys might. And
I can't do Mexican without sounding racist.
Oh, that didn't sound racist when you were French at all. Just because they're white doesn't mean it's not racist.
Then we have Brett.
Brett, White Raven on the forums.
Shane.
Lingerie, ménage à trois. That's all the French I know.
That's all that matters.
And of course, and Amin from a podcast of Ice and Fire. Welcome, Amin.
Good to be back. This is Amin on the forums. So,
Who the hell's Amin?
Some new guy.
So let's get into it then. So we'll do things a bit differently since it's Marvel and stuff like that. We'll give Infinity Stone. So that's 6 rating, not 5 rating. So Amber, how many Infinity Stones do you give this movie?
I can give it 6, right? So I give it the full gauntlet. Well, gosh, all of it, all the Infinity Stones.
Even the Soul Stone, which we haven't seen in the movies yet.
Even the Soul Stone. Well, I was kind of worried. The first night I actually went to the double feature, and I was sitting there in the first one thinking, God, I love this movie. It's so amazing. And I was worried that I wouldn't like the second one as much, but I really did. And even on the second viewing, it was just awesome. So all the stones.
Brett?
Oh shit! Sorry, I'm trying to look up French for White Raven.
Plank, cow or something.
I give it out of 5. I give it
I give it a solid. Shut it. I'll give it a solid 4. And
There's 6
I really-
stones.
well,
Not telling him to
Alright.
shut it, are you?
apparently I don't know anything about Infinity Stones, and I apologize that I'm on the spoiler-filled discussion.
You were supposed to be one of our comic book experts too.
I don't know why. But anyway, okay, out of 6, I'd give it a 5 then. I really liked it.
Good enough. Shane?
I'll give it 5 out of 6 Infinity Stones. I liked it a lot. There were some structural issues with the movie. You could tell there was, some things cut out. But overall, I enjoyed it a lot.
And Amin?
I would give it 4.5 out of 6. I thought it was a good movie. I would give 6 to the first Avengers in comparison. So it wasn't as good, but it was going to be very difficult to be as good as the first movie, so still enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think I echo with you guys. I mean, this movie is almost perfect, and I had like a lot of fun watching it. Then after coming out, I was like, that did not make sense to me. This did not make sense to me. So I was finding quibbles, but I think I had like a lot of fun watching it. So I think I would give it around the same 5 to 6 stones, I guess. So let's get into it. What did you guys think about Ultron? How did he compare against Loki as the new villain?
Like
Not
Loki
as
better.
sexy.
I don't know, Loki's so cool, it's hard to outdo him.
Yeah, I
It's a
actually
high-
thought Loki was kind of scarier. Just maybe because, he's so...
Godly.
He can fool you into... Yeah, that too. He can fool you into thinking whatever he wants you to think. I mean, Ultron was just clearly psycho and scary and kind of over-the-top evil right from the get-go.
He didn't seem to have a whole lot of tricks in his bag. The way Loki
Ultron?
would. Yeah.
He was just, okay, I'm going to throw numbers at you.
But and I think it's pretty clear, right? I mean, Loki was a far more interesting villain than Ultron is. I mean, in terms like I was surprised. This is the first time I'm encountering Ultron because I'm not a comic book reader, and I don't think Ultron shows up in any of the other, cartoons or anything like that. I was kind of surprised that he had like so much emotion in him, right? I mean, the guy got angry and chopped off Andy Serkis's hand. I was pretty surprised. I was expecting somebody along the lines of Data or Hal from 2001 or something like that. The personality was completely surprising, but still, it's just seemed like a generic villain, right?
Yeah. In the comics, he's never been completely logical like a Vulcan or a Hal or a Data, but he's always been pretty much insane and filled with hate. So
Amber,
That
are
was
you
definitely-
humming?
I am
We
not
can hear that.
humming. I swear to freaking God, I am not humming.
What was that then?
You are lying as well.
You're lying
heard
to
it.
that was
God.
that was on my side. That was my son.
No,
who told me.
you were humming while talking? That was impressive.
My son.
Why do I keep getting so
Oh, it
much
was
blame?
your son.
Oh, what did he think?
No, he's not the one that went and saw it with me. He's the younger one.
Oh, okay.
He stayed home.
Sorry, I derailed that. I apologize. Go ahead, Shane.
No, I think
I
that's all I
forgot
have to say.
Well, I have
Oh,
a
in the
question
comic.
in relation to Ultron, anyways. Is like, so they found like his schematics. Like, was he already created before and they brought him out? Like, what was it? How did they find his intelligence?
Right. Because so
Talk about
in
in
the
the comic
movies,
books? The movie?
in
Oh, and in the movie, anyways, for example.
So yeah, in the movie, looks like Iron Man had a role to play in Ultron's creation, right? But that's not how it's done in the comic books, right?
Right, Henry Pym created him in the comic books. Ant-Man, the character that Michael Douglas is playing in the movie.
Oh, or Paul something.
Well, Paul Rudd's playing a different.
Rudd's
He's
playing-
playing the second Ant-Man.
Oh,
The
okay.
The second Ant-Man?
Second, that's something
Yeah.
new.
Is it just they shared the suit? What's up?
Well, in the
we'll
comics,
get to
Henry
that later.
Pym is the Ant-Man. You put this in the show, I guess. Henry Pym is Ant-Man, and then I forget the character that Paul Rudd's playing, his name, but he sort of gets the Ant-Man suit and starts being the second Ant-Man. But it looks like in the movie Ant-Man, the Marvel movie coming out, Michael Douglas is playing an older Hank Pym that might have been Ant-Man or might not have, but he's basically the start of the movie, or what happens in the movie is he gives the suit to Paul Rudd's character, who's going to be the Ant-Man in the movie.
Yeah, so in the movie, it kind of seemed like Loki's scepter had the Vision Stone in it, and that had Ultron's operating system on it or something. That's what Amin was asking, right? That's what you were inquiring.
It seemed like he was already kind of designed already, and they just needed to bring him out. Like, it's not like Tony came up with it by himself.
Right. I took it to be more like what they found in the stone. The closest approximation Tony could come up with was an operating system, that it wasn't really kind of like a computer. But I mean, that's just sort of what I extrapolated from, what they were saying.
So why did it take on like Tony's characteristics?
Well, that didn't make much sense to me.
Okay.
A lot of and what I've read in other reviews and things is that he was supposed to be sort of Tony's brainchild. But the way I understood things, like I said, that didn't make sense because Tony didn't really write the program. I guess he was supposed to be a amalgamation of what Tony was trying to do and what was in the gem or the Power Stone. So I guess you could, but even if you write a program, it doesn't, take on your personality quirks. But
well, I got it because they said that was the way it was. So I said, okay.
It also scans all the data when it wakes up, so maybe it just read about Tony and kind of like it has lots of files about himself in his computer. Read it.
Well, I have a theory, because my theory is that Thanos had something to do with it. That might have been in the spoiler tag what he said. Okay, I guess I'll have to do it myself. Because when Tony walks off and then it sort of spontaneously Ultron comes to life. My theory is that maybe Thanos had something to do with that.
Oh.
Well, he's got that cool glove, so. Was that the Infinity Gauntlet?
Yes.
Well, is the scepter ultimately from Thanos, or how did it get to Loki?
It was given to Loki in the first Avengers movie by Thanos' lieutenant guy that Loki kills.
Okay.
So that could be part of his plan. That's like his two-phase plan.
Oh, they got killed in Guardians of the Galaxy?
Oh, yeah, that was Guardians, not Avengers.
Whoa.
That's right, Ronan the Accuser killed him, not Loki. But yeah, it came from Thanos, which doesn't really make a lot of sense.
Yeah, why you... I guess maybe if he had one, he's going to use it to get the others.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like the same play where he hires Ronan to go, here, do this for me and I'll do that for you. It's like Thanos is trying to have all these minions get the stones for him, but they're just kind of not finishing the job.
They're hoarding them.
Well, they're just inept or unlucky.
Or like Ronan just turn on him.
Didn't they all turn on him? Like,
well, Loki just lost.
Wow, yeah, Loki. Poor Loki.
So one of my big gripes about the movie was Ultron's logic, right? That in order to get, in order to have peace, you have to destroy humanity. I didn't follow the chain of logic that led to that. Or did they even try to explain it? Every time I went, how did you come to that conclusion?
I think his logic was, without humans, there are no wars.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I took from it.
Yeah, I mean, if this was like a Michael Bay movie, and this movie, like at times, reminded me so much of Transformers, but it's Josh Whedon. He's like a smart writer. If anybody could have explained that thing, that logic to us, it would have been him. God,
I
do remember. Oh, sorry.
I think it's. Oh no, I'm talking.
No, go. You talk.
I think his clever writing went into like the witty banter, that dialogue, rather than into the actual plot itself.
Well, this movie seemed a lot like Iron Man 2 in that there was a lot of setup in it. And I think it seemed to me, and from what Josh Whedon has said in the press lately, that there was a lot more Marvel maybe interference or direction in this one than there was in the first one.
Yeah, actually, it was interesting. After the movie, I kind of went out and looked for and say, okay, so what's the next deal? And the next deal is Infinity Wars. That's going to be coming out in 2018. And it's not by Josh Whedon. It's by the Russo brothers, the guys who did Captain America, Winter Soldier. And then I tried to see what Josh Whedon is up to next, because probably he had other projects. He has nothing. I mean, there's nothing that says, oh, planned production or script writing. Nothing. He's got no other projects online, and there was a big article on BuzzFeed that talks about this. Josh Whedon even left Twitter after the movies, and he had like 1 million followers.
Don't blame him there.
Plus, he got like bombed on Twitter or something, right? Like he was getting criticized for.
He had some issues. I think the biggest one I heard was that in the new Jurassic World movie, there's a woman running Jurassic World, and she's kind of portrayed as this big stiff character, and he kind of commented about her depiction, and so and there was some fallout for that. But it kind of, from the BuzzFeed article, it kind of reads that Josh Whedon's just burnt out. Like he's spent years on this project, and this was a big movie, so it just kind of felt like he was just done with it, and he wants to go back to take a rest or retire even.
He's
And
got
perhaps
money to
that's the-
spend.
Go ahead, Amber. It's your
I
time to
said
shine.
it.
We didn't hear it.
I said that he's got money to spend.
Yeah. No, I mean, actually, I saw an interview the other day where he was on, and he seemed like, "What are you doing next?" He's just, "I'm looking forward to a break," and he seems like exactly what you said. He's tired and he wants a break.
Perhaps that's why he might have got more Marvel interference on this movie. If he was like went into him, he's like, "Look, this is going to be my last one for a while," and they want to kind of keep control of where things are going. Whereas he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna kill off this character," and they're like, "Oh, you can't do that. We need him in a future movie." He's like, "Well, I don't need him." They're like, "No, we're Marvel. You can't do that."
No, it's kind of also what happened to John Favreau as well, right? Like after Iron Man 2, he kind of left, and I mean, he's still the producer and is still around, but like he went off and did Chef. After that, I think just the pressure of making a Marvel movie is something.
I can't imagine. Yeah.
Especially two of them.
But about the
Yeah.
interference thing, right? I think it's the other way around. It's because
Amber, stop barking at us.
so about the interference, I think it's actually the other way around, because Marvel not only put him in charge of the Avengers, right? They also made him one of their creative heads, and he had like a big role to play even in Guardians of Galaxy. I think he kind of went through the drafts for the dialogues for the movie, and he had like a big role in making it come out as the way it came out, So he had like a lot of influence on that. Even on Winter Soldier, he kind of looked at the scripts at Sims and gave advice and everything. So he was actually in a pretty powerful role. Like others were taking lead from him.
Yeah, I felt a lot of Firefly influence in Guardians of the Galaxy. Nobody
I
else?
see
see
that
that.
now, yeah.
Still on my list.
Yeah.
It's one season. Just go
It's only
watch
like 8
it.
episodes.
I have a
Or
long
is it
list.
11? Might be
It's
10 or
near the
11.
top.
Okay, what do you guys think of Vision's creation? That kind of just came out of nowhere, right? I mean, and I did not understand. Wait, vibranium? That's the same thing you make the shields out of. How do you make a robot out of it? And why is the robot like fleshy? It did
Is
not
he a
make any
robot?
sense. And then vibranium also shows up in the thrusters for the finale. Like, what's going on?
I don't know what he was
Apparently
using.
there's a lot more of it, right? Because didn't they say that,
Well, it
that
only
everything was put into that shield?
well, it's a very limited resource as far as globally speaking. It only comes from one place in the world, and that's
Wakanda!
Wakanda, yeah, where the Black Panther is, which they haven't gone there yet, but they mentioned.
Wakanda!
Didn't they kind of set up for that movie by putting that bad guy from there? Like, isn't he involved in that movie?
Yeah,
Andy Serkis, right?
yeah. Andy Serkis plays Ulysses Claw, who ends up being a supervillain, a Black Panther supervillain.
Oh, I see. So he gets a claw now. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, from
Well,
the.
he doesn't actually get a claw. He gets it's like kind of like a ray gun or something on his hand, but his name is Claw.
Yeah, I think they just posted the cast for the upcoming Captain America Civil War, and actually, and that's going to be made by the Russo brothers, and that has like everybody in it.
I think
Iron
I'm in that.
Man, Captain America, of course, Scarlet,
Bilbo?
Bilbo.
That's Spider-Man.
Martin Freeman is in it, so it's got like a ton of actors, including
Winter Soldier? Bucky?
Winter
Bucky Barnes?
Soldier.
That's going to be
What do you
awesome.
think of Martin Freeman as Spider-Man, huh?
Wait, no, he's playing the guy who runs Wakanda or something, or the American ambassador to Wakanda or something, right?
That's the rumor I read, yeah. Some sort of government liaison guy.
My curfew is up, but I have two things that I want Shane to talk about. One is the Scarlet Witch marrying Vision. I want to hear about that on my podcast, and I want to hear about.
It doesn't end well.
My husband's theory is that maybe Quicksilver isn't dead because, they pointed out that he has a high metabolism and blah blah blah. So does he heal like Wolverine, kind of? So, bullet points. Thanks, guys. I apologize for being punchy and disruptive, but I'll look forward to listening. And thanks for having me.
Coming on.
Thanks for coming on. Amber. Bye.
Thank you.
Guys.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go too. If the ladies got him out.
Oh wow! So Amber threw a lot of new things at us. So there's the Vision marrying Scarlet Witch, and the Quicksilver thing. Shane, comments?
Yeah, in the comics they get married, and that doesn't end too well for them. They're not married anymore. But
is Vision anatomically correct?
In the comic books, he is. In the comic books, he's
adamantium, whatever.
He looks like a red human, and the yellow and green costume is just a costume he wears.
It would all be mental, anyways, right? Because they have the mental powers.
Yeah. Plus, he's kind of meant to be.
He's just gonna shoot her with his Vision gem in her vagina. How does that work?
Okay. So let's see.
Just glaze over that.
But I assume they might try to explore that because there was a moment between Vision and the Scarlet Witch in the end of the movie. They had I think the Scarlet Witch was falling or something. Vision caught her and saved her, and they had shared a little glance. So maybe they'll go there in the comics. But their history is long and convoluted in the movies. They'll go there maybe. But their history is long and convoluted in the comics. I guess I could go into it if you want to put it in the end or something.
I don't think it's believable that they'd be in a relationship from what we've seen from Vision so far. The guy was born yesterday and he's going to be in a relationship now. Like, I don't think they have time to.
He might be eager to experience all there is to experience.
He's got a man's needs.
So
he does seem a bit above all that now.
He picked up the hammer.
Well, Thor likes to get down too, I assume.
So speaking of romances, what did you guys think about Hulk and not Scarlet Widow, sorry, Black Widow's love thing? Just kind of seemed forced in.
Yeah.
I didn't think so. I mean, I thought they shared a definite connection in the first Avengers movie, like when she went and recruited him, and they had the scene when he hulked out for the first time on the helicarrier in the first Avengers movie. So I didn't think it was totally out of left field. And as far as a lot of people were saying they thought there was a romantic connection between Hawkeye and Black Widow, I never really got that in the movies. I thought it always seemed to me just to be like a sort of relationship based on friendship and respect. And I liked it because it's a very unusual relationship between male and female characters in movies nowadays. Just one that's, platonic and not romantic.
I actually appreciated the break when they went back to Hawkeye's hometown or home Farmville or something. It's like a nice break from the action. And I actually just went to the restroom then. So I really appreciated that for that reason more than anything.
Does Hawkeye have a family in the comics?
Well, the Marvel Universe has always been kind of an amalgamation of the regular Marvel Universe and the Ultimate Marvel Universe. A lot of them seem to be from the regular Marvel Universe, but like Nick Fury is straight out of the Ultimate Marvel Universe. In the regular Marvel Universe, Hawkeye has been married before. He was married to Mockingbird, the character that's on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but they eventually are not, well, they're not married anymore. And that's a long story too. But other than that, he's never been married. He's always been kind of a player type character who has relationships with different women. But in the Ultimate Marvel Universe, Hawkeye is married with kids. So
the only thing I didn't like about their little family scene there is I don't like that the Scarlett Johansson character, whatever her name was in the movie. I don't even care. Black Widow, is that it?
Yes.
Why is she like the aunt to his kids basically? Like they're calling her Auntie Nat. I'm just like, does she come around often? Is it like at the place she hangs out? This doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think from someone who hasn't read the stuff and like I've just watched movies from the first movie, I felt there was a very close connection. I would have said it was a relationship, but now that it wasn't, it made sense at least that she's been around and saw the family because there was something close about them, closer than usual. So maybe that, yeah.
Did anybody think it was odd that they were going to name the third kid after her or something?
I think it's weird to wait till the third kid.
No, they were super close. Like you see the first movie, like him getting kidnapped really puts her over the edge, and she's willing to do anything to get him back and stuff, right?
They're close.
She's a friend of the family. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Man, this movie had like a lot of big set piece action sequences, right? I mean, right off the bat, you had the attack on Stryker's base. It kind of looked the most CGI of all the scenes, right? And then there was Ultron's breakout, then the scene on Andy Serkis's ship, then the Iron Man versus Hulk fight, then the sequence where the Avengers steal Vision's body from Ultron, and of course the big final battle. Ever since Star Trek Into the Darkness, pretty much every action movie had a scene, the finale where a building's destroyed. I mean, they did that with Superman as well, and I think the final scene in Age of Ultron took it to the next level. They not only destroyed a building, but they destroyed an entire village.
Yeah, there was a lot of action. I agree that the opening action scene was a little hit and miss with the special effects, but I thought the rest of it was really good.
I think it was weird that they were like all together to attack this base when, like, I feel like what happened in Winter Soldier was just as big a deal, and the only one around is Captain America. But here they are, just storming a base, and Thor shows up, and the Hulk is there. It's just
they kind of
weird.
They gave an explanation that that they were looking for the scepter, and that was the final sort of loose thread they had to tie up from the first movie. So they gave an explanation whether how good you think it is.
Right. I get it.
So I didn't get this, but there was something quickly mentioned that Stryker was actually working for S.H.I.E.L.D. Oh, this is because of Winter Soldier, where S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra, so now the name's kind of interchangeable. So this makes sense why Stryker had
Strucker,
sorry.
He's at the end of that movie, I think, right?
He was in the post-credit scene of Winter Soldier, I think.
Oh, speaking of that, was there a post-credit scene in this movie?
Yeah, it's just Thanos grabbing the gauntlet.
Oh, okay, because I went to pee, so I didn't see the post-credit scene.
You just stop drinking
twice?
like 4 sodas while you're watching this movie.
I know, why did they make this movie so big?
Well, you probably the movies should have intermissions. I think any long movie because they could make money off of it as well.
Charge you to get back in.
I kind of read somewhere that Josh Whedon said there wasn't going to be a post-credit thing, so I left. So too bad I missed it. Was it pretty consequential or just Thanos or something?
No, it's just Thanos is like, I'm going to do it myself now. I guess I have to do it myself. Like enough of these bozos.
Oh, that's cool.
Let me get my gauntlet without a stone on it.
If you want something done, you have to do it yourself. Basically.
Does the gauntlet have powers, Shane, or is it just the stone when it gets the stones in it?
It's just the stones.
It's supposed to get like it's not just the sum of the parts, right? When all the stones are merged together, like Captain Planet, right? The gauntlet's gonna give you like pretty colossal powers. You like Titan, like Silver Surfer's. What's the guy in Silver Surfer? The Planet Eater.
Galactus.
Galactus, something like so. Thanos can become like Galactus or something with a gauntlet.
Well, in the comics, he's the most powerful being there is, period. He's more powerful than Galactus and all the other cosmic beings combined.
Oh, really? Okay, never mind then.
I mean, he's literally, I guess he does eventually get defeated, so he's not literally omnipotent, but for all intents and purposes, he's omnipotent. Like all the stones, they control certain things like time. It completely controls time. Space, it completely controls space. Like he is completely in control of all that when they're all together and he has them. Or whoever has the gauntlet has it. Because he has lost the gauntlet in the comics and other characters have taken it for short periods of time. And of course the power isn't easy to wield and certain lesser characters, can't completely wield it the way he can or other characters can.
I think Guardians of Galaxy did a very good job showing that, right? Like the Collector's assistant, when she grabs shit, she just burns in a second and destroys the entire Collector's base or something.
Yeah.
So among the big set piece sequences, which one did you guys like the most?
I liked when Iron Man was fighting Hulk, just
Right.
because the sheer brutalness of him trying to take down Hulk and Hulk not giving a shit and keep fighting back.
I liked it right up until the end where Hulk lost. That's
He
bullshit.
didn't really lose. Would you say he lost?
He threw the fight, maybe.
Well,
I
it's
think
kind of
he-
ambiguous, I
think he
guess.
just came out of it. Like, he was like under her spell thing, and I think he just came out of it and realized what he had done. I mean, because he didn't lose.
The last thing you see is Iron Man punching Hulk on the side of the head, and then it flashes to the Quinjet.
No, Iron Man's gauntlet is made out of kryptonite. Oh wait, that's the wrong. That's the wrong. That's the wrong
Oh, it's
comic.
made out of like the Verdantium or whatever. That thing. What is that? Metal?
Vibranium.
Vibranium.
Well, I would say that suit didn't do shit because he just tore it apart.
Yeah.
It was interesting. They mentioned Veronica initially, and I was like, "Who's Veronica now?" I forgot. But then Veronica is the Hulkbuster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that had to do with because the Hulk's girlfriend is Betty. So what's the opposite of Betty? Veronica.
Oh, that's funny.
It shows. It's interesting more from Iron Man's character that he would have that ready just in case the Hulk. went
Well, they
out.
mentioned that
the Hulk
Banner helped him make
design
it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And he
Yeah, they
put it into a very good
himself,
job. That's why they couldn't call the Hulkbuster suit, because it got busted by the Hulk.
Let's see. But in terms of it was definitely. How about you? I mean, which was your favorite sequence?
I guess probably still the final battle. Just seeing them like Ultron's like, you're not going to be able to stop this thing, and it's like, yeah, they are. Stop him touching that thing. Yeah, that was a good sequence.
Yeah, I thought it was as well. The Hulk and the Iron Man versus Hulk was the most fun, but in terms of stuff, it was also the kind of the most unnecessary, right? I mean, it didn't really add to the plot, I guess. I mean, only helped because Hulk has. I mean, this was a way to give Hulk out or something because Hulk feels guilty about the destruction he did. But otherwise, that's like something they could have skipped and spent more time somewhere else, like explain how Vision was exactly created.
Instead of Thor just jumping on top of the thing and slamming
It
down a
didn't make
camera.
any sense. Oh,
Well, Quicksilver unplugged the power, so
Yeah.
Thor used his lightning powers to power the final bit of the transformation.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought he did something special. I didn't know that.
I like that they were disagreeing over that thing again in the second part. It was funny when he was just like, this is like a time portal. He just did the same thing. Are we in the time warp? Like to Tony? Like he was just like,
Yeah.
let's do this again. It's like,
Yeah.
okay. They still goes
And,
along with it.
I loved when Vision handed Thor his hammer.
Yeah.
I always thought they seemed to imply that he was worthy to wield the hammer, but I was thinking, well, he's just a robot, right? I mean, isn't that like a loophole?
I think I saw a discussion of this. There's different ways he could have done it. Yeah, like he's artificial intelligence, and I guess he does it, or he has which stone does he have in his head?
a Vision
got the
Stone or
Vision.
something.
Yeah,
The Mind Stone.
isn't that
The
more
Mind
powerful than
Stone.
the hammer? You think? So if he's powered by that thing, he could pick up the hammer.
Yeah, I have seen things where like there are beings that are sort of above that enchantment, and the comic books are able to wield it.
Well,
And
so you
also,
wanna
the hammer
put-
was used to make him too, like to give him life. So maybe that also.
Yeah.
Interesting. Actually, like at the end of the movie, right, and they were making fun of Thor. Like one of the explanations they used was a lift can lift. An elevator can take up Thor's hammer. Doesn't mean the elevator is the chosen one. So I thought that kind of makes sense. So that makes sense. It's a robot, so doesn't work on the same rules or something.
In the first Thor movie, did they have trouble moving the hammer? Like I'm trying to remember, like isn't it like stuck on the ground?
Right. Even Thor had trouble lifting it
Oh,
until.
but he was like cursed or whatever at that time. He lost his ability. But like,
Yeah.
couldn't they not move it like with a crane? I can't. Or they.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. They pretty much built an entire base around it, right?
Because they couldn't move it, but was it because like a person was operating the crane? Is that why they couldn't move it? Like if it was an automatic AI system, it would have moved it.
So if Ultron tried to pick it up, it'd be okay.
Oh no.
There you go. That would be
Interesting
dangerous.
question. I don't remember them actually showing them trying to use a crane or something to move it, but you sort of got the feeling they couldn't move it because they had
couldn't
dug
move it,
out.
right?
They had dug the place out all around it.
But it kind of just showed the Avengers that this guy can be trusted.
I did like how he was kind of worried about Captain America being able to pick it up. Though.
Yeah, I really like that scene in general. Like, it's nice to have that kind of like jovial, fun. That's half the movie there. It's not the action scene; it's the
Exactly, and nobody
yeah.
could have pulled it off. That
Yeah.
party scene was so fun, right? Everybody
Yeah.
just hanging around. It was nicely done, you know. I think
Don Cheadle's character telling a joke, and they're like, "I don't get it." He's like, "That kills with normal people."
And then he tells it later, right? Somebody else.
Yeah,
is
he's like,
yeah.
nods his head like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I like seeing a lot of the minor characters in just for a few scenes. That's cool.
So Captain America actually kind of budged it. Like, he actually budged the hammer.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah, it
Yeah.
moved a little bit. Thor's
That's why Thor's
reaction
face
was,
is like, oh shit.
oh shit.
I thought it was because he was just
okay.
worried. I didn't notice it moved. I thought he was just
It
worried
moved
about
a
it.
little bit.
It had a little budge, but yeah, like it's.
yeah,
That's
in terms of being nice and stuff like that, like Captain America is kind of like pretty straightforward, right? No guile, no cunning, no dark side.
Yeah, he's a
So
virgin.
He kind of met all that criteria, I guess.
In the
Except for
comics,
God.
Captain America can lift Thor's hammer.
In the
Like,
comic
I
books, he
think
can?
people at certain periods, apparently, like I was looking it up after because I was curious. It seems like in certain situations they can, but he can't always carry it, right?
I'll tell you,
Well,
who can't.
that's fine.
Quicksilver.
As far as I know, he can. I mean, but it's Thor's, so he's
But does he
used-
also wield the power of it, or is he just swinging it? Like, can he use the lightning?
That's kind of the thing about where whoever holds it can hold the power of Thor kind of come and gone in the comic books. Like, it was something that Odin put on it when he banished Thor. So I don't think that's on the hammer anymore. But my son, who was with me, my 7-year-old son, said when Vision picked up the hammer, he said, "So Vision's ruler of Asgard now?" I was like, I don't know.
And you told him, yes, he is. Yes, he is. And you said, no, Loki's the ruler of Asgard.
Actually, I told him, shh, be quiet.
Is Odin still alive? Because I forget what happened in Thor 2.
He's not in power, anyways. He's
Oh,
probably
he's
dead.
sleeping, right?
Or
Or he's
dead.
Loki's captive or something. We don't know.
Okay. Okay, moving on. Like, one of the interesting things this movie does is through Scarlet, right? Scarlet bewitches or does her magic on the crew, and they all have their own visions on. Some of them are like stuff that they think is going to happen, like with Thor and with Iron Man, and then stuff like what they actually feel like or what they want with Captain America. What did you guys think of the whole sequence, the dream sequence that all the characters had, including like Black Widow? Her dream sequence was something interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. Well, that's one of the things in the comic books is her powers are so undefined. Writers use them to do all kinds of different things, and they pretty much stuck with that in the movie. It's pretty much whatever needs to happen, she can make happen.
Right. It kind of
Oh,
it's
the
just like a
Scarlet
plot
Witch.
device, right? Just a dramatic device. Oh, we need to do this. Oh, I'll have Scarlet Witch do it.
Yeah, like she's a mutant, but her mutant powers are weird. But she's also been trained in actual quote unquote magic, so she kind of wields them both at the same time. Yes.
I mean, I liked what they did there because it led to Iron Man fighting Hulk, so I kind of enjoyed that. But I don't like how they. I mean, I go to it hoping to see the Avengers fight because they're the only ones that are a challenge for one another. So I mean, in that it's good that she like, but they keep having to like have some kind of mind thing, make the Hulk crazy in order for him to fight people that he's supposed to fight. Is that why Hulk like he can kind of control it, but not when they're fucking with his mind? Is that why? Do you know what I mean?
It kind of seems to induce strong emotion, right? Like with Iron Man, it introduced the emotion of guilt, and with Scarlet, I don't know, maybe anxiety or something. It wasn't clear what exactly the Vision did
You mean
with
on Black
Scarlet
Widow?
and Captain America. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, Black Widow. And even with
Scarlet,
Captain
yeah.
America, like what did the Visions exactly do? Because I think even they point out, you seem fine. Yeah, I'm fine.
They
Well, I
just
think
made
it
him
has to
lonely,
do
which he always is, anyways. So
He doesn't have demons.
I think it has to do. It affects the people differently. It's like whatever your issues are, whatever however you're screwed up in the head, it sort of that's what it affects. Well, from what I've read and heard, a lot of the stuff because there was like 30 or 40 minutes cut out of the movie.
Yeah, the Thor
And a
stuff
lot
is
of it,
cut.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the Thor stuff and his vision. That's why a lot of it didn't make sense.
Ah, okay.
Did the same thing happen with the first one? Because I remember he had that part where he like tried to pick up his hammer and couldn't do it, and then they never explained it, and he was fully wielding it.
And I don't remember that
Just
part.
doubting himself for a second movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when he fell out of the Hela thing, and then he went over to pick up his hammer and he couldn't do it, and then they cut to another scene, and then he was just fighting with it like normal. So it was weird.
Yeah, I think Thor's vision was the most confusing. I didn't get it what exactly happened. That Thor was going to bring out. Oh, it probably is a setup for the next Thor movie, right? So
Yeah.
there's going to be a new one in 2017. It's called Thor Ragnarok. So it's kind of giving a hint that Thor has brought something, apocalypse or something, to Asgard.
I heard they even cut a Loki cameo out of it.
Oh wow, okay.
Or
Yeah, I think it was
don't know if
supposed to be in
they
Thor's
actually film
vision.
it though, or they cut even filming the cameo. I think they cut.
I don't know. I don't know that.
Yeah, in this Josh Whedon interview I was reading, they were talking about the scene where Thor had to lost a bus full of children or something, and that was supposed to be his big dramatic emotional moment or something like that. That he was trying to save a bus full of children, sacrificing himself, but it didn't go off the way, and the children died. A scene that was cut.
That's pretty dark.
Maybe it would have earned him an R rating if they did that.
That's one of the things that actually surprised me about the movie was how funny it was, and I was expecting it to be a lot darker because it's been compared to sort of Empire Strikes Back a lot. But I thought it was, pretty lighthearted for the most part.
Okay, let's see. So the ending was kind of confusing or kind of scary for me because Thor goes away, Hulk goes away, Iron Man goes away, and then they show us what's left. They show us Scarlet Witch, they show us Vision, they show us Captain America's friend, and then show us Don Cheadle in War Machine. And I was like so depressed because I don't care about any of them. It's like, what are
They
you
all-
doing?
They all went away in the end of the last movie, too. They'll be back.
How do you not care about Vision? I think he seems kind of cool.
I don't know. Maybe it's the actor Paul Bettany or something. This is like whatever.
I liked him.
From what I saw, isn't Vision technically the most powerful one of them now?
Looks like it. He looks like he's a Superman kind of thing.
Yeah.
He seems definitely comparable to Thor as far as power goes. Especially with that Infinity Gem, or the Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
That definitely
He's
ups his
powered
power.
by it, right? So that's huge, and he can use the hammer if he wants to. And
I don't know if he'll be powered by it for long, though.
Hmm.
Thanos is looking for it. And in order to make the Infinity Gauntlet, he's going to get that stone.
So after watching that ending, I started, I was paranoid and I started going over IMDb. So it turns out Thor's getting a movie, so we're not going to see it. So it's not the last of Thor. Iron Man's going to be back in Civil War. Captain America. It's only Hulk. Looks like Hulk's not going to be returning to any of the movies.
I bet he'll be in the Infinity War movies.
But he's not. He's not listed as one of the actors. Oh, maybe.
yeah,
It's,
but they still
it's
have
a
a
long
contract
ways
with
away.
him, though,
Yeah.
I think they still have a contract for a couple of movies, so they can pull him in if they want.
I think they'll keep him out for the next year or two and then bring him back for the Avengers movie.
He's kind of tough to throw out there because you can't do anything against him. He's too much of a wild card.
Yeah, and in this movie they kind of treated him more like a liability than an asset, right? I mean, that's what's kind of the tug of war they had. So let's see. How would you rank this movie then compared to all the Marvel movies you guys seen so far? Is this the best you guys think, or is it like the second best, or the middle of the pack?
I still think Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy are sort of my top two, kind of tied. Those were both
Yeah, I
really,
think
really
so.
good.
I think I agree with that.
But I'd say this is probably, because I like almost all of them, or I do like all of them. I'd say it's sort of in the middle, which I liked it a lot.
I don't think I've ever seen one that I didn't enjoy of these newer Marvel movies.
Yeah, I don't, I want to see big, crazy action, and the one thing I like from Marvel is that they're always funny, and, I want to be entertained, and I don't, it doesn't have to be The Godfather, it doesn't have to be a home run for me. If they're really good and they work on a bunch of levels like Guardians and Winter Soldier did, then that's extra good. But I just want a good movie to be entertained, and, that's what it was.
I like it when they have a lot of the characters in there. I watched Winter Soldier and it was a good movie, but I liked seeing more of the characters interacting and bouncing stuff off each other. And so that's why I like the Avenger ones better.
So my problem is I really enjoyed the first time I watched these movies, but then I'm finding that when I go back and watch them again when they come out on Redbox or something like that, I'm kind of bored. Like that's what happened with Guardians of Galaxy. I kind of fell asleep halfway through the movie. I don't think I watched. I thought Avengers was so boring when the first Avengers when I watched it again on Netflix. So
Sounds like you need a bigger TV and surround sound, Vic.
I thought you were going to say, sounds like a personal problem. Maybe it's a personal problem, but I'm just finding that they're really fun the first time around, but second time around they're not quite as fun. So let's see. So Ant-Man, that's the next one. So are you guys going to go watch it? What you guys got pretty high expectations of it? What do you guys think will? How do you guys feel about that movie?
I don't understand the mechanics of it. Like, they kind of tried to explain it in the commercial, and I was like, I don't buy it. But maybe the movie will explain it better.
What, I mean, like the physics of him shrinking
and being able to punch somebody harder? I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I guess they can probably pseudoscience explain it. I mean, if you have the mass of a 200-pound person hitting somebody with the size of like a millimeter, that's a lot of force for a little
it's not going to do blunt damage. All it's going to do is poke a hole in their face.
No.
It's like if you take a needle and stab it down into your leg, it doesn't make your leg move, it pokes into your leg. No. Right.
What needle, what leg?
It doesn't really interest me. I mean, I'm not a huge Marvel fan. I like these movies, but unless it's like going to be necessary viewing for the other Avengers, I'm not really going to be in a rush to see it.
No, I'm excited to see it. I don't expect it to be, as good as the Avengers movies, but I usually like Paul Rudd in a movie, and Yellow Jacket looks good, and there's some funny moments, like in the preview.
The train
have you seen the preview?
Right?
Yeah, the train scene. Yeah. If there's moments like that, and it sort of keeps that sense of humor, then I think it'll be all right.
Yeah, I wish they did that, keep it on the funny side more than the darker side. And I think that's what they are, right? I think Marvel doesn't do dark, I think.
Marvel's happy, DC's the dark side.
Yeah, Marvel's the Disney.
Yeah.
I think, what I was thinking after it was over was Ultron would be a great villain to transition into like a season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Because you could just do him like an AI in the sort of a rogue AI going around the internet. You wouldn't have to build him a body or do special effects. That'd be pretty cheap to do on the TV scale.
Oh yeah, that's a good way of talking about it. Do you guys think he escaped? Is Ultron, do you think, is alive still?
I think if they want to bring him back, they can.
Yeah, he's just a program. Be like, oh, he escaped into this. Yeah. And then Vision will have to show up and blow up that computer.
Yeah, Ultron's on Dropbox or something.
He transferred into somebody's cell phone that was escaping and is just laying low in there.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, I think they can certainly write their way out of it if they want to bring him back. It's just whether they want to or not.
I don't necessarily think he was that compelling a villain as far as that goes. I mean, he served his purpose in this movie, but other than that, I don't know what he has for legs.
So
that's what he does in the comic books. He always gets destroyed, but he escapes and a few years later builds a new body and attacks again.
Is it Quicksilver the guy's name that died? What's his name?
Yeah,
it's
Aaron Tyler. Yeah, what did you guys think of him? I never really cared for Aaron Tyler. I don't like the Kick-Ass movies. Godzilla, he was awful. So I was pretty happy when he died. Although in this movie, he was kind of redeeming himself. The bad Eastern European accent was kind of endearing.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of the movie is when he tried to grab Thor's hammer as it was whooshing by, and it just took him with it.
Yeah.
I ended up liking him a lot more than I thought I would. I thought he did okay. And I can certainly think of a few ways they can bring him back if they want to. Like they mentioned his metabolism, and that doctor had that machine that was very good at patching people up.
Yeah.
And of course, there's always the Scarlet Witch's whatever she wants to happen powers. So there's several different ways they could write their way out of that if they wanted also.
Oh, right. Hawkeye does bring his body back, right? So yeah, there's.
Do you think he would have recovered by the end of the movie though if he was, or they would have shown him? I guess he could have been in the hospital or something.
Nick Fury just took his body when nobody was looking.
Yeah.
Maybe get one of those and will come back. What was I just gonna say before I stupidly said that?
Yeah, because Vic is gonna have to cut that now. So.
I know.
Season 5.
Oh, I like how they called themselves out on how ridiculous everything is with some of the dialogue. With like, God, why can't Hawkeye? When he's like, he's like, these guys are gods. I got a bow and arrow. None of this makes any sense.
No, that was pretty well done.
Yeah.
I like it that they don't take themselves seriously and they can put out these dialogues.
Well, I was going to say, I was afraid they were going to kill Hawkeye, because it seemed like they were sort of using the tropes to set him up to be the character to die. So I was actually surprised when Quicksilver died.
He actually, with a movie of such a big cast and everything, Hawkeye did get surprisingly a lot of time, right?
He got a lot of development in this one and screen time to kind of make up, apparently, for the first one that he was just like under control for most of it.
Right.
Hasn't that actor, was it Jeremy Renner? Has he won an Oscar?
He came close with Hurt Locker, right?
Okay. I was thinking has Robert Downey Jr., he's never won an Oscar, has he?
Oh, he must have for Chaplin, right?
Judge got. Oh no, I think Robert Downey Jr. not Robert Downey Jr. Robert Duvall got nominated, right, for Oscar for Judge.
So I think Jeremy Renner's like the only. Oh no, Mark Ruffalo got nominated for a couple of movies, I think. That one.
The Foxcatcher, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense that Scarlett Johansson and then Mark Ruffalo were the romantic kind of thing going on, because I think I look at the lot and I see them as the best actors in that lot.
Well, is it being a good actor or not that like Robert Downing is basically Iron Man? Like, is that good acting or is it just being himself?
I don't know, but
he's
I love
getting
it.
the character, right? So yeah.
A little bit of both, yeah.
I like all their characters. I think Hemsworth makes a great Thor for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Sometimes his dialogue's a little clunky, but it's funny anyway. And then Chris Pine's the same, or not Chris Pine. What's his name?
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Evans.
Chris Evans.
Oh, Chris Evans.
Yeah, I mean, he does a great job at playing like the kind of dumb character, but not dumb. Just like what's the right word? When you don't know what.
Just straight, just a plain straight guy or something.
Yeah.
Just a straight man or something.
I wish I had a better vocabulary.
I think it's not as easy as you would think it was from watching them. They make it look easy, and they all do it
Right.
really
That's
well.
what I mean. Well, I think Robert Downey Jr. really thinks he's Tony Stark. I've seen interviews with him. I'm like, that dude still thinks he's Tony Stark. Give it up, man.
That's good. He's getting into character all the time. It's like 20 So,
But
I
then
agree.
again,
I thought all the actors do really good.
you watch like Tropic Thunder, and he like played himself in that too. So.
So what's like the biggest difference between the movies and the books, I guess? I mean, not the story arcs, but which character do you think is like completely like 360 degrees or something, or 180 degrees around?
Most of them are pretty similar. Like I said, Hawkeye, he in the Ultimate Universe, he's one way. In the regular Marvel Universe, he's another. So he's out of character for the regular Marvel Universe, but not for the Ultimate. Most of them are pretty. Of course, the Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch aren't Magneto's kids in this universe, since they're no mutants. I think they're just seems like they're just regular people that
they can't even say the word.
Yeah. And then Ultron, like I said, he's very maniacal and full of rage in the comics, but he was more funny and Tony Stark-esque, and he was created by Tony Stark instead of Henry Pym.
Oh, did anybody else hear that there was supposed to be a Spider-Man cameo that they wrote into the movie and then they cut it?
I thought it was going to be in Civil War or something. That Spider-Man was going to.
I think it is going to be in Civil War.
He is going to be in Civil War, but they were going to have a Spider-Man cameo in this, and then they cut it because it didn't make sense with the rest of the Marvel Universe that they were planning.
Well, I don't think they made the deal in time.
Yeah. So Stan Lee's cameo, Excelsior. What's that reference to? Yeah.
That's just Stan Lee's catchword. He's been saying it since the 60s.
Okay.
Like he used to do in the Marvel comics every month he'd write like a little one-page sort of editorial thing where he would be funny and tell stories from called the Marvel Bullpen, which would be about the writers and the artists. And I think he would always, his sort of signature was Excelsior, and he's been saying it ever since then.
All right. Well, I've pretty much said all I have. I just have one last question. Was in the whole hammer pulling thing, do you think there's a reason why they didn't have Black Widow do it other than she's like, I'm not going to get involved in this dumb contest?
I don't know. There's a woman can, wield the hammer. There's the Thor in the comics now is female.
Yes.
I think they changed that, right? Instead of saying he who will, they changed that he/he who wields it. That had to get changed, right? Yeah.
I didn't even notice she didn't try. I mean, I didn't remember.
She had a line about it.
Yeah, I was just.
Weren't you paying attention?
No, I was out peeing with Vic.
He was in the washroom with Vic at the time, so.
Oh,
right, Raven and Vic.
Yeah, we were comparing, and Vic won.
Which is quite. That's actually quite relevant to that whole contest. Yeah, appropriate because that's what that contest was, kind of, right?
I don't know why Hawkeye thought he was going to be able to pick it up.
It's like of all these people, you man, like.
I like that Iron Man went out, got his fist. Not that it would have mattered. It's like it's just your hand. Oh, you can grip it tighter.
Yeah, but he started using the thrusters at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and War Machine came on too, so that was pretty cool.
I like when Hawkeye's wife was like, he's like, I'm actually worried that they actually need you. That's like a bad sign that they need you.
Yeah.
Like these guys, like they can't keep it together.
Well, all he does is drive them around, so I don't know. They could just Uber anywhere you want. You don't need Hawkeye.
Yeah. There's no surprise that he was the one who got injured at the first start of the movie too, right? Because he's the only one who can get injured, really.
Well, that's why he got hurt.
Yeah.
That's cool. So we have seen the Tesseract, that's the Space Stone in the first Thor movie. So we see the Ether or the Reality Stone in the second Thor movie. We see the Power Stone in Guardians of Galaxy. Now we've seen the Mind Stone. So two stones we haven't seen. That's the Soul Stone and Time Stone. And we only have like 2 movies left before the Infinity Wars comes. We have the Ant-Man movie, and then we have the Thor movie Ragnarok, and then we have Civil War. So
Doctor Strange too.
Oh, Doctor Strange, right?
I was saying maybe he'll just show up with them and be like, "Yeah, I found these. Don't worry about it."
Oh yeah, Cumberbatch is casted, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm sure one of the stones will show up there.
So they got plenty of time.
Yeah, so probably in Thor, because it seems like Thor's storyline has a lot to do with that, since that had to do with his vision. So I imagine we'll see one there. And then Doctor Strange sort of deals with, powerful otherworldly things. So I wouldn't be surprised to see one there.
Now, is Doctor Strange something that takes place on Earth, or is it somewhere else, like a Guardians of the Galaxy type thing?
He can go through dimensions, but he's primarily on Earth. He's the sorcerer supreme of the Earth dimension, our dimension.
Which is like the worst dimension.
Obviously. Everything's going down here right now.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's like when Ultron destroys Earth. Well, great, but there's entire civilizations out there. I saw them in Guardians of the Galaxy. They're still waging war.
Yeah.
It's Fantastic Four is also part of the same universe, right?
Yeah, but that movie's not going to be part of the Marvel universe.
Okay.
It's a different company owns them.
Oh, really? Okay.
Movie rights. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw a trailer for that, and they're like, "Oh, so you're the muscle?" And I was like, "That guy looks like he's like 5'10" max." The guy that ends up being the Rock guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked interesting, right? The trailer for the new Fantastic Four, it kind of it feels like it's a good mix of humor and seriousness.
It looks a little over serious to me. But I'm like, I'm a comic book guy, and the Fantastic Four is all about sort of exploration and sort of about being a family, and kind of deals with some crazy things, but it's still kind of lighthearted and fun, and that looks nothing like that. It looks like it'll probably be a good movie. It's just not the Fantastic Four movie I'd like to see.
Yeah, it kind of looks like they're targeting towards the young adult or something, right? I was kind of surprised that all the cast were pretty young, because aren't they usually like, middle-aged people or something who play Fantastic Four guys?
Yeah, in the comic books they are. I mean, they've been around for 40 years. They started out sort of as adults, and they've been around so long, they're sort of older adults in the comics now.
Well, it's not like The Simpsons where they just never age.
No, they age slowly, but they age a little bit.
So this is often talked about these days as the fatigue of all these movies coming out. So are you guys starting to feel it? Do you guys think you'll feel the fatigue of these kind of movies, or at least the Marvel movies soon?
Nah. I want to see a new one every year.
Right,
I'm
right.
not fatigued yet.
Yeah, I guess this movie's kind of plot was, there was this MacGuffin, we need to find it, which was Star Scepter, which was the Vision Stone thing, and this was the same kind of plot line from the Guardians of Galaxy. So I think if they keep doing this thing, we need to find the stone for the next two movies, I think it's kind of gonna start getting like, can we see something else?
Well, yeah, I mean, it'll get old.
I think they need to take a page from the Star Wars and sort of do one-off, sort of not really related to the ongoing story movies, like the anthology Star Wars movies, like Rogue One, which I guess is sort of, I thought what Ant-Man was going to be, but Ant-Man's now announced to be in the Civil War movie too, so I guess he's not quite as isolated as I thought.
So this is what I heard about the Civil War movie. It's about the identity of superheroes being disclosed or something, and Iron Man's for it, but then some of the other masked heroes like
Captain America's
Spider-Man are against it or something like that, right? Is it?
All I know about this, I know about it from a pinball game I have.
Yeah, in the comic books, there was some young heroes were reckless, and a school was actually blown up by a supervillain that they were fighting, and a lot of kids were killed. So they did a big, they had the superhero registration legislation was brought up where superheroes were required to turn them in, disclose their identities to the government, and if they wanted to be superheroes, they had to sort of enroll in sort of a paramilitary type program and be trained.
I feel like we've seen this before. X-Men.
Well, they're not controlled by the government, but yeah, a school. And then some heroes. I didn't like the Civil War comic book myself. I thought it was kind of contrived that all these superheroes would, suddenly split up and start fighting each other tooth and nail, that were teammates and friends for all these years. And,
yeah, they said something about them cloning Thor, and he killed somebody.
Yeah, they made like a Thor clone / android that killed a character called Black Goliath, who was like a C character, which I thought was basically they fridged him for the story, and they didn't even have the guts to make it be a real hero. They cheated on that. And then the other thing that was supposed to be sort of game changing was when Spider-Man revealed his identity in the comic books
world.
Yeah, to everyone. And then a year or two later, they said, "Oh shit, that was a terrible idea." So they used magic to change it back.
Magic.
Did Scarlet Witch do it?
No, Mephisto, a sort of demon type character, did it. But she could very well have if they needed her to.
Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't really like Civil War, and I'm not really that excited about the movie because I want to see the sequel to The Winter Soldier. And it seems like everything I'm hearing about Civil War is it's not going to be that, because I like the Winter Soldier movie so much. But it's being made by the same people, so hopefully it'll be good.
Yeah, at this point it looks like it's going to be...
After.
Could you repeat that, Amin?
Like, when is it coming out, the Civil War?
2016.
Next year, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
They already started filming it and everything, so that's the next one. Yeah, I think we'll start wrapping up. Do you guys want to say anything before
Start.
that? Okay.
Good.
Okay, thank you for joining us, guys.
Nick's got to go to the washroom, so...
Yeah, I need to take...
He drank
That's
He
true.
drank like 5 sodas during this podcast. He just got addicted to the sodas.
Yeah,
See you there, Vic. See you there.
We need to start putting intermission in our podcast as well. Okay, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for listening, listeners. Keep listening, listeners. What is gonna say?
If you aren't listening already, please listen.